What is up, man? I'm excited to have you on this. We're essentially doing the first podcast for me. So this is going to be super exciting for me. I'm glad that you were able to make it on. Obviously, you're in a vehicle of some sort. So busy schedule, right? So, but guys, for everyone that's watching this is Danny Burgess. This guy I met, it was probably 3.5, 4 years ago. Met me
Mm.
when I was like 21, I think. And this guy was absolutely crushing it. Followed him along, ended up now working with him, obviously. But I wanted to bring him on and interview him, find a little bit more out about his business and kind of share what he's done. Because this guy's been tremendously helpful to me and my business and growing over the last few years. But this guy runs a rock star business himself. So, Danny, if you want to introduce yourself, maybe give a brief 30-second, who you are, what you do, what your business looks like.
Yeah, man. Dude, you know what's weird about you saying we've known each other for 4 years? It literally feels like a decade. When you said 4 years,
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way. It feels like 10 years. You've just done so much in that time. It's been so fun to watch. So I've been in real estate now for almost 13 years. 14 years ago, I was a world traveling bartender. When I first got into real estate, I was also a Lyft driver. So I was a bartender, waiter, Lyft driver. That's how I got into the business. Within 6 years, I had built a 7-figure business, got up to about 24 agents in the San Francisco Bay Area, maxed out at about 122 million. I did a couple $100+ million years. And then since then, really since rates spiked and agents started fleeing the business and looking for magic pills, I've really scaled way back, and I'm running more of a production agent model now, aiming to sell 40 to 50 million as an individual agent this year. Still trying to clear 7 figures in real estate, and then of course I have a few different avenues now that we make other income streams. My true passion is travel, my children, my wife, helping others grow. Really, I find these days I'm finding that my goals are not necessarily money based. It's more time based. And, that's really what I'm trying to bring to the industry right now, is how to run a really successful, beautiful business while living a huge life. So.
I'd say you like just following and obviously watching what you do on Instagram. Like, I don't see anyone that leverages like time and systems better. Like, you seem like you work and you work a lot, right? But you seem like you work the least amount out of everyone I see and go and produce 40 to 50 million in volume a year, which I think is super cool, right? Because like me personally,
Yeah.
everyone knows like I work my ass off all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
24/7 nonstop. You're like, hey, I'm traveling, spending time with kids. I'll call you and you're like, hey, I gotta go. I'm with my son Max. We're at the the batting cages. And it's like midday. And I'm like, dang, like this is midday, middle of the week. And this guy's still selling 40 to 50 million volume. And that's why I was thinking like this would be such a cool video for people to listen in on, because so often, we are focused on like work. And you found a really good way to balance, life and family and kids and everything into it while still selling a ton of real estate.
Yeah. It's kind of a magic trick, actually, because my kids truly don't think I work at all. And it's hilarious because I'm always working just when they're not looking. Right. So I'm up at 4 a.m. and they get up at 6:45 a.m. And that 2.5 hours is me basically working on my fitness and my health and my mindset. And then they wake up. I'm there for eating breakfast with them. We say our gratitude. I ask them what they want to accomplish for that day at school. They go to school. Then there's like a 2-hour window where I'm just jamming on prospecting, right? And then, guys, honestly, if you focus on prospecting 2 to 3 hours a day, everything else happens, right? So something you also said, you work your ass off. The truth is, you guys can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. It just depends on what the timeline is that you want to accomplish it, right? Like your timeline is a lot shorter than my timeline, right? Meaning you want to make $10 million by the time you're 30, right? Versus me, I'm like, dude, I could be super happy making 5 million in the next 7 to 10 years, and I could be set for life, right? By age 50, I should be retired, or at least I should be living more in my passions. By that point, I'm 40 years old now. So I think it's funny. Look, you can make as much money as you want to make in this business. And there's always going to be more. There's always going to be another deal to be had, another call to be made, another email to be sent, another social media post to be made. That's always going to be there. What you have to do as an individual, as a human, outside of entrepreneurship and real estate, is define what success is to you and define what you really want out of this life. And then excuse me, I was going to drop an F-bomb on your first podcast. And then attack that, right? Attack that. Don't attack the money, attack the life.
Right.
And I think sorry to interrupt. I think one of the greatest things one of my mentors ever told me was, go and act like the person that you want to become now, right? Don't wait to act like a millionaire real estate agent, right? Act like a millionaire real estate agent today. And then it's just about taking the actions, and you're going to get there one day, no matter what, right? If you start acting like one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think I would imagine, right, someone that doesn't know you, they hear this guy's selling 40, 50 million volume, right? You're not having to grind 24/7. And what I'm sure people are wondering, like, what do you do for prospecting on a daily basis? Like, what does that look like?
Well, now it's a little unfair because I get a lot of agent referrals, right? I've done a lot of these podcasts. I've spoken on stage across the country. I've built a lot of relationships within the industry. So probably without ever picking up a phone, I'm going to sell 15 to 20 homes a year. And in my price point, that's probably 20 million, right? So without picking up a phone call, I'm halfway to my goal, right? So it's a little unfair to me because I've been in for 12 years, right? This is years of prospecting, years of building this snowball. But let's say I didn't have that. And let's pretend that I wasn't utilizing social media either, right? Like, we're not doing social. And by the way, let's scroll back a little bit on the social media thing. I just was on a coaching call with a new agent. I was coaching her up about what she needed to do. And she was like, well, I'm thinking about doing this with my social media and posting maybe one thing there. And then I'll post about my travel. Then I'll post about this. And I just told her, I said, don't. I said, unless you're going to be relentless and consistent, you're never going to get business off social media. So if you're going to do social media, you can't just dabble. You have to be all in. You have to have a strategy. Like, you're the classic example. Like, you're just crushing it right now because you're adding value, because you're showing up every day. You're recording the process, right? So people are falling in love with you who don't even know you because you're recording your journey. You're recording the struggles, the troubles, all of the wins, all the successes, your family, what you're going through. So people are falling in love with you without knowing you because you're so freaking consistent and you're so tenacious. But if you're not going to go to that level, like, don't even do it, right? Like, don't even go into it because you're just wasting wasting that time. Okay. So if we're not doing social media, guys, we're simply prospecting, right? We're doing open houses as much as humanly possible. That's what I did for my first 5 years. I was at open houses all day long, as many as you can possibly do. And then you're calling every person who's a hand raiser, right? Every canceled, every expired, every for sale by owner in your market has raised their hand and said, I'm a home seller and I don't have an agent, right? So you're attacking those people first. And look, it's a hard first year or two of learning how to prospect and learn how to be in sales. But once you get the rhythm and you start realizing, oh, I'm here to help people. Oh, I can be a strategy, a consultant for them. Then all of a sudden, the business starts to open up. You start to get more appointments. Now you start to get reviews. Now you start to use those reviews as marketing. Then you start using marketing to get more business. Then you start making more money. Then you start using money to bring you in more business. And it all kind of compounds. With that being said, I still prospect almost every day. So I'm still on the phones every day, but that's because I want to hit higher numbers, right? If I wanted to be lazy, I could be lazy.
Right. Now, I know I've heard you say it before that you've done in 1 year, I think it was 350,000 commissions from calling expireds, cancels, withdrawals. What did that look like? Like, how did that, like, because that sounds nuts, right? Like, to do that in 1 year, like, most people call expireds and they never pull a damn listing out of it. You're talking about 350,000 in commissions in 1 year from calling those.
So once again, I want to be very transparent. There was a year before that year where I probably sold one or two and I did equal to amount of calling. Okay. So like, I still sell expireds from years ago, right? They said, I'm going to pull off the market. I'm going to turn it into a rental. And now 3 or 4 years later, 5, 6, 7 years later, now all of a sudden they're turning into listings and they're still coming to me because I've been prospecting them for that long of time. So the first 6 to 9 months, it's going to be challenging to get a ton of listings from canceled and expireds. But really what you're doing, you're data collecting. You're literally getting on the phone being like, okay, your house didn't sell. My name is Danny Burgess. You don't want to sell it. Totally awesome. In a perfect world, when would you want to get it sold? Well, maybe next spring. Beautiful. I'm going to follow up with you until then to make sure that I earn an interview with you when the time comes. And I just love that line because people are so like, people love that. People love hearing that. I'm going to earn an interview with you, right, over that time. And then that's what you got to do. You got to stay in front of them. You got to add value more than anyone else so that you become Peyson, the realtor of choice. I'm going to make sure I talk to Peyson before I sell my home. And that's really what led to the big year where I did sell, I don't know, it's like 365,000 in GCI just on that one pillar. I just had a big snowball effect from a year's worth of daily prospecting, daily follow-up, all come to fruition while also still be on the phone every day, getting those one-off deals that are like, yep, come over, interview, and then we list in 30 days.
I think that's the part that people, right? I think what like people should be really listening to when they hear this is like things don't always work instantly. Like for you, you said like you called for a year and you got 1 or 2 listings out of it initially. Then the second year is when things really, really took off for you. And I think so many of us in this industry, right? Even like myself, my first 2.5, 3 years, I would try something for like a few weeks to a few months, be like, oh, this doesn't work, and move to the next thing, move to the next thing, move to the next thing. And we're so shiny object syndrome in this industry because there's so many great ways to drive business. You have open houses, cold calling, door knocking, mailers. You have social media, online leads through all these different online lead platforms. I'm sure every single one of us gets that. Hey, we have seller referral leads, 25%. You get the text daily that says
Yep.
like, and then, you sign up for this thing and then you don't close anything off of it. And then people get burned out because they keep trying things and getting no real traction. But I think like what people need to realize, right, is like it takes time and you got to figure out what works for you. Because like I've talked with you and like you crush it with one way of calling expireds from what I've learned. And then I've talked to a guy that does it, seems like pretty differently than how you do it. But you guys both crush expireds. So like there's so many different ways to do things. And like that time that you're taking in the beginning, you just have to find your groove. What did you say? Like it's just finding like what flows out of you that feels natural. And like what things do you find that people tend to cling on and stick to with you when you're saying those, specific lines or whatnot? Because I think so many people are so focused on a specific script, but there's not always a specific script that works for every agent.
I love hearing Pace Morby say, find the rabbits or find the bunnies. Have you ever heard him say that?
No, I haven't.
So there was this gal who he wrote an offer on, a sub-2 offer. I think this is the story, and I think it's Pace Morby. Excuse me if I'm wrong. But he said that he had called this lady and he said, look, I can't offer you more than 230, and you shouldn't take this offer. But if you do take this offer, I'll be sure to make sure that we relocate your bunnies and we find them a great home. This woman had like 3 or 4 of these special large bunnies, and she didn't know what she was going to do with them when the house sold. And he promised her that he would take care of these bunnies. The next offer was 260 or 265. And he was just like, hey, I can't go up that high. She came back to him and he said, I just can't come up. My number's 230. It's okay. Like, da, da, da. And she came back and went with him because he was going to take care of her bunnies. And so when you're calling canceled and expired for sale by owners, like you have to find those bunnies. Like you got to find the pain points, right? What are they going through? Are they having health problems, marriage problems, financial problems, speed problems, right? Like what's the problem? Foundation problems, like whatever it is, like you got to find the problem. Then you got to be the solution to that problem. Show them how you can deliver on helping them with that. That's how you get those deals. And what's interesting about you saying someone else crushes more than me? I feel like anyone could crush more than me because I only spend, I don't know, an hour calling expireds every morning, hour and a half. You could spend 3 or 4. You could do 3x or 4x my production if you just did more, right? But for me, I kind of always capped it out at like 1 to 2 hours of calling every day on that specific pillar.
Yeah. I didn't say that the guy crushes more than you. I said you guys crush in 2 different ways.
Well, no, but people do crush. You and I talk about it all
Oh,
the
I
time. We
got
see
you.
people,
Right.
we see people crushing across. You and I see people crushing across every pillar all day long in our
Right.
group, right? In our EXP group, and we're always kind of mind blown. We're always like, how is this person doing? Because their sole focus is mailers. Their sole focus is farming. Their sole focus is calling. Their sole focus is FISBOs. Whatever it is, they're all in on that thing. And that's how that
Mhm.
magic happens, right? That's the secret sauce, right? That everyone thinks is the secret.
Now, so I know, like for me, right? Like when we met, I was just really getting going. It took me a good 2.5 years to get my stride. What would you say like your first few years were like? Like, did it take a bit? Were things pretty instant? Like, because I'm sure everyone's always wondering, right? Whenever we're always talking, people always want to know, like, well, how long did it actually take to
Yeah.
like catch that stride, and where things like actually clicked?
I think for so many, it takes a long time, and that's why 90% fail, right? They're just unwilling to stick it out for long enough. Some people get lucky and sell 10 to 15 homes their first year. That wasn't me. I think I sold one home my first year, right? So I think I made 10 grand my first year, like 180 my second, and then 500 my third. And then it just kept kind of climbing. Um, I think 3 years is the mark. I think you got to come into this industry and you got to say, I'm going to give this all out effort for 3 years. And I know that sounds so long when you're broke and you're starving and you're in pain and you're stressed and you got other things going on. But 3 years is the mark where people really start to catch fire if they're consistent, if they're still following up with all the leads that they've procured over these years, and they really start to sell 24, 36, 48 homes a year. I kind of feel like that's the sweet spot. But once again, you got to be consistent doing the work. If you're not doing that, it's a never.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Because I would say like my 2.5, 3 year mark is when things really started to work for me. But before that, it just felt like I was banging my head up against a wall every single day, hoping stuff would stick. So I think people are always wondering, like, okay, like how long does this really, really take to build something?
It takes a long time, dude. This is no different than any other entrepreneurial journey. So it doesn't matter if you're selling real estate or, you know, opening up a taco shop. Like it's hard, and it's really hard for the first few years. And that's kind of why you got to take advantage when you have the time to do it, right? Like when you don't have if you don't have kids, if you're not married, like if you're just kind of getting into it, like I got into it, man, I look back and wish I did 10x the effort, because I'd be in such a better spot today, you know?
If you had to start over today, or say you were talking to yourself like that, first started out, what would you tell them to do differently?
I mean, this is going to sound really biased towards our group, but I would have said join a better group. Like I was in a brick and mortar office with the red, black, white company, whatever you want to call it, um, red company. And dude, I became one of the top producers in like the first 18 months. I was like in the top 5% of the company. And that's like a bad sign. Like if you're the baddest ass person in your company, like you're in the wrong company, right? You and I now are surrounded by people who sell 500 million, 750 million, $1 billion worth of real estate every year. Like you and I can't really put our guards down, right? We can't compare ourselves to the loser next door and be like, we're awesome, right? We're always comparing ourselves to people who are bigger. And everyone says comparison is the thief of joy. That is true. Unless you're comparing yourself to like where you want to be, then it's inspiration, right? And I think you have to have that sort of like just gravitational pull. You got to hang around with the people who are where you want to be. That's the most important thing I'd tell myself. I would say get around the killers as fast as possible. Get around the people who want to help you, who will give you everything, who will give you all the playbooks, and you just have to copy them. I mean, how silly is it that I basically did this on my own for 5 years? I freestyled it for 5 years when there was a system in a company like ours that will literally hand us the entire playbook up front. And all we have to do is follow the yellow brick road. So that's the most important thing. Find someone who is where you want to be and put your wagon onto theirs. And then that's how you really move fast, right? And then probably the other thing would be uh, get your mind right about money. That's the other big thing that I did wrong in my first few years. I started making a lot of money. And I started making a lot of money, and I didn't know what to do with it. Right? Like I was spending it. I wasn't buying assets. I was paying way too much in taxes. So like, coming from making 50,000 to 500,000 in a 3-year span was wild, right? I kind of felt like a pro athlete at the time, and I just bought the black Mercedes, went on way too many vacations, Unknown caller. Sorry, I keep getting calls from my client. And yeah, taking care of your money, understanding your money, starting to get a money mindset instead of like the broke person mindset is pretty critical, or you'll just never go anywhere. So those two things.
Yeah. 100%. And then what would you say is like, what does your weekly schedule look like on a day-to-day basis? What are you doing throughout the day to obviously get new business, maintain business, keep business moving forward? Like, how do you know, like, okay, like this was a productive day?
I mean, you just said it on one of your posts. Like, you got to be in your database. Like, I kind of need or want to set 3 to 4 appointments a week because we know 1 or 2 are going to cancel, right? I kind of need to meet with 4 people every month to feel really good, right? Minimum. So like, I just track those higher level metrics now. I used to be big on contacts, which you should be big on if you're listening to this. Like, until you get to the point where you kind of already understand who you are as a prospector and where deals are going to be coming from. And, this week alone, I was like, man, I still need to set 3 appointments. That was like Wednesday evening. And I set 3 appointments in like a 36-hour window. Because I was prospecting in the database. I was calling different sources that had kind of trickled into my life. So you kind of have to have an understanding, and the only way you can get an understanding about your productivity level is by going super hard. Like, you got to go super on the other end of like 10xing it so that you understand where like being level in life is for you, right? So for me, I would go insane if I prospected like I used to prospect. But now I've come to a point where I kind of know where I need to be, right? I think I have like 7.5 pending right now. And then I have another 6 coming. So I know that right now I'm kind of right there at like 14, 15 million in my funnel. That feels good. So you got to watch your funnels. You got to watch your numbers. You got to watch like your hot list. Like, if you're looking at your pipeline right now and you have no active buyers, no active listings, no coming soon listings, like, there's one thing you need to do: prospect your ass off for as long as you can, like all day long. That should all be you should be at open houses. You should be doing social media. You should be on the phones. That's it. That's it. Super
Easy.
simple. Yeah, and then once you get
It is
busy,
simple.
you can start using money. You can start using money to drive in more business. But until then, that's it.
Love it. Now let's wrap this up. So what I want to do is I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. Just answer them like quick and easy. So first one word to describe your first year in the business.
Daunting.
Open houses or cold calls?
Open houses.
Scripts or go with the flow?
Scripts.
And then the one skill every agent needs to master first.
Mindset. Mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And then love it. What's your prediction for the next 12 months in the market?
I love the question. How's real estate? How's the market? We get that all the time, right? How's the market? The market is as good as you want it to be,
Yep.
baby. That's it. So like, if you're a rockstar realtor, the market's going to be great for you.
That's a total that was a mindset shift I had to have. For such a long time I was blaming the market for why I was slow. And I was 6 months after that, the market was still slow, but I did 36 transactions. And I was like, okay, it wasn't the market, it was me this whole time. Okay, where can people follow you and connect with you?
I go by The Giving Agent on Instagram. You can find me there, DM me there if you ever need anything.
I'll make sure to have your info in the description below too, so that people can check it out there. And then last thing, if the audience only remembers one thing from this conversation, what would you want it to be?
Make enough money so you can buy back your time. Like, the entire reason you should be in real estate is to fund a beautiful and rock star and awesome life. And man, life is so much better when you have time and you have money.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Guys, make sure you follow Danny on Instagram. This guy posts all the time, has super good contact. He gives back to so many agents. He helped change my life. That's why I had to have him on this call. So, man, thank you for being on. I know you got to jump into another meeting. That's why you're sitting in a vehicle right now, taking the call. So thank you so much. And I appreciate it, really.
Right on, man.
All right, sweet.